Would you consider leaving your job, moving across the country, and buying a ranch with no farming experience? It sounds like the making of a Hallmark original movie, but that's precisely what husbands John Kanell and Brian Dow did. These two fathers traded their lives in Los Angeles for idyllic country living in Connecticut, running their own farm. After living most of their lives in busy cities, they started a whole new life where they grew their own food, raised livestock, and even kept a colony of bees. They started a YouTube channel where they shared pieces of their lives, which has budded into a hugely successful business and an upcoming cookbook.
Hey, I'm John.
And I'm Brian.
And this is Pride.
We recently chatted with former science teacher turned internet chef sensation John Kanell and his husband turned chief tasting officer Brian Dow. We talked about all things food, family, and farm life. Their story starts out west in a little town called Los Angeles.
So we're both LA natives, lived there all our lives, grew up there, and we had our sons, Lachlan and George, and I was working a ton at the time. So I'd really only see them early in the morning or late at night if I got home from the office early enough. And we just, we're sort of looking at our lives. It was really stressful. And for me in particular, I wasn't seeing the kids as much as I wanted to. Yeah. And so we had been coming out here for vacation. We had a friend that moved to the area years ago who introduced us to Litchfield County. And we just said, screw it. Maybe that someday should be now. And I quit my job. We sold our house.
It's a big move.
Kind of threw our lives out the window as we knew it. And, just made a huge change and came out here.
Like many parents today, John and Brian's work-life balance was slightly off. Okay, it was really off. There was a lot more work and a lot less life. So they decided it was time for a change. John and Brian packed up and relocated cross-country, settling down on a farm in Connecticut. A significant change from the landscape and lifestyle they've known in California.
I mean, we fell in love with the area we're in and the land. Like, it's a very agricultural community. There's a lot of farms and people are just really friendly. It's beautiful. And we have like a wonderful view. But the house was like, it was like a house. It was really dated. It was a little bit dated. It needed like our touch to make it a home. And it also needed a nice kitchen for me to work in. So since I'm like in the kitchen all day long, so that was our first tack was to build a kitchen.
It's really his office. So, in our old house, I would come home and there would just be, it's kind of like having a full Thanksgiving dinner cooked in your house every single day.
Packing your life into boxes and moving them nearly 2,900 miles is hard enough. But imagine doing it with twin 2-year-olds. Seeing their boys thrive on the farm for Brian and John makes the relocation well worth it.
Yeah, it's interesting. They actually, what were they, 2.5?
They were 2.5.
Yeah, when we moved out here, no, they had just turned 2. They don't even remember LA, not really.
Yeah.
So this is really kind of all they know. And it's such a wonderful place to grow up as young persons. It's one of the, conceptually we understood like, oh, it'd be cool to have them grow up on a farm.
Yeah.
But then actually being here now for almost 3 years, it's been fun to watch them, and they really understand food in a different way than we just thought food was from a grocery store growing up. That's, what your concept is. You live in a city. But the boys, we planted these apple trees and they got to see them blossom in the spring and then grow fruit in the summer that, we all went out and picked, and they got to bake an apple pie with Papa. So they just have a completely different understanding than we did of food and the whole process, which is really lovely.
So they're all finding their own way on the farm, but we still have to address that work-life balance I mentioned earlier. Since launching his wildly successful YouTube channel, Preppy Kitchen, in 2016, John has been the solo star until recently, when Brian and the twins started to make more regular appearances. But was it a conscious decision to make it a family affair?
I feel like it was a pretty organic decision. Yeah. A lot of it was like the kids were just too young to be in the kitchen with me. Like, they love visiting and making appearances, but the counters was up here for them, and now with a stool, it's like here, so it's perfect. They can like help.
Yeah, it's cute. People in the comments will say, "Give them a stool," and it's like, well,
they're on a stool.
They're kids.
If it was one of Brian's favorite recipes, like, or like there was one time he forgot to buy parsley for one of the recipes, so it's like just mention it, like
or
you should, or ate all the Oreos that were supposed to go into a pie. But it's never like, oh, I want to mention Brian at this point for any other reason. It's just because we're a family and he's part of it, and so are the kids.
And I just, it was always a thing, like, where's your husband? Why isn't he ever on camera? With my old job, I thought it would be a little weird, really. And also I was like, why do people, I don't know how to cook.
He's like, he doesn't know how to boil an egg.
People care, but people do become curious.
Yeah.
And I think also as the boys grew up, they were curious to see more of our family, and we don't have like hard and fast rules, like we will show this, we won't show that. It's just, as the boys have gotten older, they understand that he's making videos, and kids like to do what their parents do, so they want to get involved, and they spend tons of time with him in the kitchen anyway, so for them it's fun.
Yeah.
Brian, was this shift hard for you? Because you had a huge career as an agent, you had huge stars on your roster of clients that you managed. Was this a big shift for you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of fun. We just got some new cattle yesterday, so I was helping them offload into one of the big barns, and someone said something, and anyway, I took a selfie of me and the cows, and I sent it to some of my friends, all of whom still live in LA and work in the business, and they're just like, what are you doing? They're all fascinated with it. They all love it. I'm like the one who escaped, and gets to live this fun life out here. So I think they all, it's all very ethereal to them, but everybody loves it. They're like, I can't believe it. That looks so fun. I want to go do that. So yeah, it's a nice change of pace.
Now, it really is all hands on deck for John and Brian. Preppy Kitchen has become much more than a YouTube channel posting weekly recipes. This family business has the makings of a household lifestyle brand.
I think it just sort of
evolved.
Evolved. Yeah, we did, because we moved out here and we ended up buying the empty land next door, and then we bought the farm across the street. And when we did that, we kind of inadvertently repieced together this farm from colonial times, so from a little over 200 years ago. So it's been really cool that it's been continuously different forms of agricultural use this whole time. So we're really into that and want to keep that going.
Yeah, we wanted to preserve the character of the land and not let it just get developed and divided.
Houses. Because with COVID, a lot of building was happening out here.
Oh my gosh.
So, it's nice to be able to preserve the land. And so there's so much that goes on here that we don't show. We actually talked about should we start a channel that's just devoted to the farm, because there's constantly stuff going on.
Stuff like their farm animals.
Like the mini ponies have somehow unlock their gate.
Yeah, you'll just be sitting. We'll be sitting here now, and you see this. Well, it looks like a My Little Pony, because you have mini ponies, so you gotta dart by a window. The minis are out, and then you just
jump in the Kubota and try and wrangle them in.
Corral them in. Yeah, and unfortunately one of them is blind, so it's not the easiest thing in the world. But so it's just, I don't know, it's been something that's sort of built on itself. Like we said, the kids got older, so now they participate more. We're just showing what goes on, and a lot of what happens on the property makes sense for a food channel, because the big kitchen garden is just right outside the kitchen. So, walks out of the kitchen, cuts herbs, cuts whatever it is, brings back in and cooks it. We show that. Or if we planted 5 acres of various types of pumpkins last year. So
I have a very important question to get, and I'm really hoping that one of you, if not both of you, have seen Schitt's Creek, but I need to answer this question that I feel like the entire world wants to know. How does one fold in the cheese?
So this is a whole thing. We made enchiladas.
Oh, right.
Moira's famous enchiladas. So you fold it in. Is it gentle mixing? you're mixing gently, to be more clear. So if you're folding, you don't normally fold in cheese, you just mix it up. But for folding in baking, you take a spatula and you scrape the bottom of the bowl, and then you bring it through and cut down the middle and bring it back. It's like you're making convection currents in the bowl.
We just helped a lot of people, I think, in this world with that small tutorial that was like one of those unanswered questions in cooking, that now we have the answer. The two recently relocated from LA to a farm in Connecticut with their two sons, Lachlan and George, assembled a small petting zoo, including miniature ponies and goats. But do they have plans to add more animals to the farm?
I don't think we're going to get any more animals.
Unless we can find those really cute sheep.
Oh, yeah, I'm obsessed with, what are they called? I can't remember.
Like Valois sheep or something?
Yeah, Valois black nose sheep.
They're like little cartoon sheep with the black face and puff of white fur.
I desperately want reindeer. That's like what I really want. Like my perfect life would be living somewhere that was like snowy but not too cold. Had this North Pole vibe, and then I'd have reindeer,
So this year, hopefully, we'll plant our Christmas trees because that'll be really fun for the boys to go out and cut down.
That would be so cute.
Yeah, it's so cute. So it's nice to have the greenery for holiday time. And we have 60 acres in hay, which is pretty, and it's just kind of there. We let some of it go to seed because the bees love that.
That was
it's really good for them.
That worked out so well because our beehives, when they established themselves really, really quickly. Yeah. And I have to tell you, I'm not the biggest fan of honey. It's honey. But our honey from our bees is delicious. It's so light.
Real honey, a lot of honey is not.
It's it's adulterated, but it's also blended. Yeah. So it's if you look at honey at a store, it's always the same color.
Right.
And it's because they take everything from black honey, which is pure tar, all the way to white honey, which is water, and it's always blended to have a similar flavor profile and color for consistency's sake. But based on our local wildflowers and everything else, you got a nice, delicate, light honey that's delicious.
As I always say, save the bees. And for John and Brian, some of these simpler things really seem to be a particularly joyful part of farm life, which I think is a good reminder to appreciate the little things in life.
Well, the other nice thing about being here was we saw so many different types of bees. When we had one outing where we just watched our pear tree for a long time because it was swarmed with bees. It was the height of its flowering, and there was everything from sweat bees, which I had to look up, little tiny, incy bees, to bumblebees and honeybees and everything else. And they were all just working together, and it was just fascinating to watch. It was kind of mesmerizing.
Yeah, it's fun to see the whole cycle of nature.
Yeah. My favorite thing to do last summer and fall was to watch this little colony of bumblebees that had established themselves right outside of our front door underneath a bush. I would just sit on the stairs and watch them fly in and fly out and do their little dances.
This whole network of tunnels.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And they're those big furry ones. They don't sting, but apparently they bite.
Mega bumblebees.
Yeah. So as we said, it's very different from our life and certainly what I was doing in LA.
I still have to wonder, did their move to the countryside check all their boxes? Or did they trade the hustle and bustle of metro life for an equally wild life on the farm?
I think the nice thing about doing something you love, we get to do, is that you love doing it. So, if I had some free time in the evening, I most likely answering comments or planning more videos or recipes and editing photos.
This is what we wanted to come out here and do. And I think that we never really understood how much we would love it and what it would turn into. And so, it's kind of a hobby for us. It's what we love to do is develop this place and plan out what we can grow and sharing that with the boys. And so really the content is just a reflection of all of that. Yeah. So work life, I don't even think we think about it that way because work for me was very much a destination before. I'd be in meetings, I'd be in an office, you'd be teaching at a school, I used to be a teacher. So it just seems different now. And also when you're working for yourself, you hear a lot of people say it's just, there's a different X factor to it.
As the success of Preppy Kitchen soars, John finally finished a personal passion project he'd been hinting at for years, a cookbook titled Preppy Kitchen, recipes for seasonal dishes and simple pleasures.
I'm so excited for this